When I met the readers, Ed and Fran, they were actually supposed to be reading next week. And of course, they were supposed to be reading this week, but it was switched because I stood up and set out the email. My fault. But thank you, Ed and Fran, for doing that. Eric Marcus, thank you for being ticket master and everything else you do, the hand worker for all the setup. He Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Swick for the Sam Kendall for the website. It's time for an application, Danny. You're ready.
It's in go. Mine's well, welcome to this first Friday in the month of April. Would you please join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, as we begin together, we are mindful of those who have been suffered through tornadoes, floods, war throughout the world, who are in the midst of these difficult events. Be with the rescue workers and the government leaders around the world as they assess and begin to work through the tragedies. Give them wisdom and be the individuals who are suffering. Show us a way that we can be helpful in Rotary. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Danny. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
Sorry, I'm trying to unload here. I have Kenzie with me. She got her application, and I'm sure at the next board meeting they'll approve her. But Kenzie Blair, she's one of our junior analysts at James Invest. And well, I can. And then yes. I have my friend Althea White, she's a returning guest. So
Welcome. Sit in.
yeah.
John and Mimi couldn't be here today because they had wind damage. They actually came up here during his applications. I was going to be joining, but they said I have to go home and fix my house. So I recommended I talk to Pete Bales, but I have down here a mystery for a sergeant at arms, but I think it's Bob Kuchuk.
No pressure.
Yeah. You only get that once. Yeah, that's right. That's what kept actually. Okay, so here we are at the first meeting of April. April's pretty much known, other than Income Tax Day, it's kind of known for the April Fool's Day. And I looked up some facts on how April Fool's Day was got to be. And April Fool's Day may have been originated in France, where New Year's Day was celebrated during medieval times on April 1st. So, and then Gregory the 13th changed it back to January 1st in 1582. So many people in the rural areas did not make that change for several years. And the cosmopolitan city dwellers thought them fools for this reason, and became the fashion to take advantage of the gullibility of the provincials on that date. And the practice has spread to England and other English-speaking countries since then. On this day in history, 4/4, there are a number of things that we have, and I'll try to give these in chronological order. 1949, NATO was formed, North American Treaty Organization. In 1960, the biblical epic Ben-Hur became the first film to win 11 Academy Awards, Oscars for the Best Picture, and the lead actor, Charlton Heston. In 1969, the American surgeon Denton Cooley implanted the first complete artificial heart in a human. Several days later, the patient received a donor heart, but died shortly thereafter. In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. He was there to support a strike by the city's sanitation workers. And in 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded Microsoft. So those are what happened on this day in history. Other national recognition for this day, 4/4. Day comes with National Vitamin C Day. And then one, I don't think Dave Brandenburg, oh yeah, he's here. Dave Brandenburg would be celebrating this probably today. It's the National Jeep 4x4 Day. And then turns out that the polar catering people must be reading the same things that I read because it's also National Chicken Cordon Bleu Day. Happen to get the same day. And so it's also National School Librarian Day, which is the topic we have today. And it's National Hug and Person Day. So you have to be careful about that because you might get slapped or slugged if you try to do that. And it's also National Walk Around Things today. I don't know about that one. So few funny thoughts for April. One here, Father O'Flaherty asked Mrs. O'Reilly how many children she had. 4 was the reply. That's a good Catholic woman you are. And what are you having the next? He asked. My father, she replied. I read that every 5th child born in the world is Chinese. Why does the evening newscaster always start with good evening and then continue to tell you why it isn't? Never be afraid to try something new. Remember, amateurs built the Ark and professionals built the Titanic. So one said, I finally fixed that annoying noise in my car. I just opened the door and pushed him out. Sign in church. We are not Dairy Queen, but we have great Sundays. Wouldn't the world be a better place if Noah had swatted those 2 mosquitoes? Does the fact that there is a highway to hell, but only a stairway to heaven, say anything about the expected traffic? And honk if you love Jesus. Text while driving if you want to meet him. And then 2 little boys. Does your family say a prayer before dinner? Second little boy. No, my mother knows how to cook. And then just to close with a few oxymorons. Clearly misunderstood. Exact estimate. A small crowd. Act naturally. Found missing. Fully empty. Pretty ugly. Seriously funny. Only choice. Original comics. So for today, the fines are, if you've ever been to Naples, an April Fool's joke, that will be $1. If you've never seen the movie Ben-Hur, that's $1. If you've not been to the library this year, that's $1.
Thank you.
Not wearing Rotary pen also will be $1. Are there any, happy books?
Well, my name's Deborah. I'm the phone. And I think there's sheets somewhere along around. Okay, yeah, I'm up there. You need to pass them out. So I've got season tickets for Ryan's and they're good seats. And my husband died, so I only need one seat. So I've got a list here of all games, and there's a little code color thing for people who've already done things. And you can go with me and have one seat, or if you want both seats, I'm fine with that too. And so I sent this around so you could look at the dates and figure it out, and then I'm gonna put this one up here. So you can come and actually sign up for what you want. And you need to put your name, your phone number, the number of tickets you want, one or two. And I got the tickets with me. So you can, don't give them any money. So don't ask me to do it. And the only thing I ask is that they just changed because these go all the way out. The last one's the tickets that money. If you take the tickets and then you find you can't go, if you could just come and let me know. Well, get someone else to go. Do someone else. That's fine. As long as somebody sits in the seats. My daughter's family sits right next to him, so they'll tell on you. Right. And so I really don't like it's good ways. And it's a lot of going to the breaks. I say I'm just going to say that I'll be quiet. I was on the committee years ago I was a member of the committee with the Chamber of Commerce. And we were kind of fighting with up north about where that baseball stadium was gonna go. And I was on the committee that helped, all I helped do was just pass the word out, like I was given, go say this to people over there, but we ended up winning and we got it right downtown. And I think it's the best thing that's happened to downtown experience. So go, support them, have fun. I don't want anybody, just take the tickets and be out. Thank you.
Thank you. I got a happy buck here. About 20 years ago, I was starting up my business. And one of the things I needed was promo products and everything. So I'm very fortunate to know Derek Promo because it gave me a great start with promo advertising. So thank you. My happy buck is about tonight, this weekend and next weekend. The high school is putting on their musical called The John Game, and my daughter is playing a role in the musical, so I'm excited to watch her debut tonight.
All right.
I missed you all last week. We were at my daughter and I went to the Field Museum in Chicago, and she is a super nerd. Even more nerdy than me, if you can imagine. But we spent 3 hours looking at Sue the dinosaur. So anyway, we had a lot of fun. I'm so grateful she's 16. It was good to get to spend that time with her by myself. So anyway, it was a fun time.
That's great to see. I've been there a few times. Anyone else happy bucks?
Yeah, for no reason at all.
All right.
That's the best time. Best kind. Anyone else? Announcements come after the take a drawing. Yes, you should know that. Your room's good. All right, it's time to take a drawing. All right. Let's see what's no. After the proceeds of this, go to our Christmas basket program. And we are looking for the tenant close. Get to that point. Ticket number is 653-887. No. Oh, that didn't.
No, about 4 weeks. 87?
Say no. Dick. Thanks for the. 13. Yes.
I don't have. It doesn't. I'm sure not everybody. Nice. Oh, 9.
So close, but yet so far. Right, I know David's busy. Any announcements for the club? Sandy.
Now that all it's now, it's well. Just a reminder, we haven't seen them back here. Holly Beard and her mother Kim are back here with a whole slew of apparel, and stuff for sale they will embroider the Rotary, logo they give on it, and, you can pay cash, check, or charge. So they will stay here during the meeting and be here afterwards. So take advantage of this. We've been trying to coordinate this for quite some time, and I think we'll probably have them back maybe a couple times a year to do this now. But take advantage of it. It's those nice abilities to come here, especially.
And our February sign. Date sizes and all the items that are on the.
So there is a clipboard going around somewhere in regards to the Rotary Day of Service, so which if there is over there that has it, which is scheduled for April 26th. This is where our Rotary District is encouraging all of the clubs to do a project in their community, and we are partnering with the Park District for their soaring into spring, soaring into spring event. So we need people to actually work that day. We're going to be distributing bubbles and have carnival games, etc., for the kids. The Monday before, which is the 21st, in that afternoon, we will be helping the Park District actually get the park ready for that event. So if you want to help out with that as well, it's fine.
I do, so I apologize for hurting club's attendance. I noticed that Nick and my former purveyors of golf outings in our club waited till I was officially the person that had to run it when they showed up. So I'm stuck now. So you should have information from me through emails or a Rotary email about our May 16th golf outing. Any information you need, contact me. There's a couple of kind of preprints of our brochure up here. As soon as you know you're going to have a group or a sponsor, please contact me so I can add it to the list and keep track of what we got going on. And be out there selling golf and sponsorships. So any questions, just ask.
And that is May 16th, and we are going to be canceling our meeting that day because of that, because obviously no one will be in here.
Oh, and it's a morning, it's just 9 o'clock shotgun start.
And registration's on DAC TV. And you can pay by credit card.
Any other announcements? Yeah, just a couple. We've got the district gala coming up April 25th. You can sign up for that at the DAC DB. It's going to be at the Museum of the United States Air Force. They're expecting to get a lot of people out there, so if we can do that, that would be great. Founders Day is coming up on May 9th. Hopefully we'll have more information on that. There was a application if somebody wanted for the Outstanding Community Service Award that has to be turned in by today, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's all I have for right now, so I'm gonna ask Beth to come forward. Here's our speaker. Yeah.
All right, good afternoon. It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce someone who embodies the true spirit of leadership in librarianship. Carl Malone is no stranger to many of you. He is the executive director of the Greene County Public Library and a fellow Rotarian with the Senior Rotary Club. As a visionary in our field, Carl leads not only with commitment to service, but also with an unmatched knowledge and background. And it's not evaluation time, that's why I'm saying all these nice things. He has a law degree from UC and then also a master's of library and information science from Kent State University. Carl's diverse career has spanned private legal practice, service to Ohio Attorney General's office, technology and administrative work in Ohio Public Libraries for the past 20+ years. In the ever-evolving world of information, Carl has been an advocate for early literacy through the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and community engagement, where he mentors young library directors from around the state on this topic. We're no longer the young librarians in Charlotte. So Carl has led the Greene County Public Library since 2007 and has created a library system for our county that is the hub of connection, learning, access, and imagination. We've worked together now for 18 years, and I like to say we're the yin and the yang. Sometimes good cop, bad cop, whatever the day is that we're saying, which makes our service together so effective. Carl, I want to thank you personally for trusting me all these years and having the confidence in me to pursue all kinds of initiatives and opportunities that help make the Greene County Public Library so great. So please join me in welcoming a leader who continues to shape the future of librarianship, Carl.
Wow, well, I don't think I can live up to that, but let's see what we can do. First of all, thank you all very much for welcoming me, and thanks to Dawn for the invitation. It looks like I need a new photo. The hair on my face hasn't been that black in a long time. Let's talk a little bit today about two institutions, right? Greene County Public Library, but also the Greene County Public Library Foundation. What a library is, it's actually kind of simple, but it's deceptive, right? Because people think library, they think books. The library was around a long time before books. The pharaohs had libraries, right? Our tools change. We've gone from clay tablets to tablet computers, but the job never changes. The job is we are here to help each of us individually find the next step to our own success. The public library is literally the tool shed of success for each of us. Now, if you don't do your own work, you don't get out there, work hard, lift yourself up, it ain't going to help. Having a tool shed doesn't mean a thing. But the people of Ohio, through the law, through the Ohio Revised Code, and through very generous support from the state, thank you very much, Brian Lampton, through generous support from the state, we have in every community libraries that are there to help ask one question. How can I get you one more step for the success that you want to have? Now it gets interesting. You all have heard entirely too much from me over the years because you have been very generous in welcoming me here about all the stuff we do at Greene County Public Library and all the millions of books we circulate and stuff that we do. What I'm here to talk about today is a little bit different. The way every librarian helps you on your next step to success is by listening. Tell me about you. I can't help you if I don't know you. This is why libraries are local. This is why you're not meeting your librarian in a library, you're meeting your librarian at Rotary. It's why the deputy director of the Greene County Public Library is in Rotary. We have to know you to help you. And sometimes we learn things about how we want to help you that are different than the mission of the library. So bear with me. The mission of the library, right? We're helping you to success. We're feeding hungry minds. But then we listen and we learn different things. Some of y'all know about this thing that we have. It's a makerspace. It's called Smart Place. Why do we do that? Because I came to Rotary and to the Chamber of Commerce for 10 years running. And every last mother's child who was an employer said to me, I get somebody to work with a head. I get somebody to work with their hands. I can't get nobody to work with their head and hands. So we created Smart Place, literally working with your head and your hands. I thought it was a good idea and I was wrong. It was a great idea, but not because of me. But because when you come to the Miami Valley of Ohio and you offer people what they need to succeed, they work like dogs to make it happen. We've launched businesses, we've launched all kinds of stuff. Well, that wasn't me. That was you and us listening to you. We heard another thing that y'all know entirely too much about. we heard from our parents and grandparents that they were terrified because they were getting children to kindergarten and the children hadn't learned what they needed to learn to be ready to read. So we started this thing that this club put some of the very first money down, called the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Somebody asked me, and I didn't know the answer, so I had to look. The model we started in Greene County, which is now the state model, somebody asked me, how many kids in Ohio has this helped? I had no idea. I looked it up yesterday. 770,000. When we listen to our community, success follows. I didn't do that. We did that, right? Because I said, hey, you know what? People scared. You said, hey, yeah, you know what? This should be. Let's do something. We did it together. But that's not the only thing we learned. I'm here to tell you about some other stuff that we learned by listening, especially during the pandemic. Now, these were about problems that were always there, but people weren't talking about until the pandemic just shoved them out front. So everybody remember the pandemic? Schools closed? Everybody remember how well it went to have our kids learning in front of screens? If you were a parent during the pandemic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We were hearing from our community that they were scared to death because children were going right down the learning tubes. Because learning is a contact sport. In a classroom, learning is a team sport. But anybody who's played team sports knows sometimes you need a coach to help you one-on-one, to learn to throw that football or kick that shot through the goals. So, a young visionary that I know named Elizabeth Cusack said, hey, why don't we go out and get our hands on some of that ARPA money and start tutoring our kids eyeball to eyeball while the schools are closed? And I said, if you want to do it, go do it. So she went and hustled the state librarian who had ARPA money. We got ARPA money. And we started tutoring kids. And we knew how this was going to go. During the pandemic, schools were closed. We'd have kids, and then it would stop. And it went exactly the way we thought it would, except for the stop. We found a problem that was always there. Our kids are getting farther behind. They need help. Our education system needs to get them further and further. You ever heard of that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I had fifth graders not that long ago. I proved I wasn't. Okay, and I got degrees and stuff. Our kids needed to, well, during the pandemic, when there was ARPA money, the Ohio Department of Education gave us money. The results were incredible. Let me just run the last 2 years that we had numbers for. So 2023 and 2024 together. You might think, well, you know, it's Greene County. We're pretty prosperous. We're pretty educated. There won't be that many kids. Do you want to know how many times kids walked through the door in 2023 and 2024 to get eyeball to eyeball tutoring in Greene County, Ohio, in the library? 6,960 times. Okay. Now, let me brag on my deputy. You'd think, well, how do we get this done? Oh, you know, she's smart. When we need it done smart, that's where we go. So she reached out to the Greene County Retired Teachers Association and said, I've got money. Will you help children? Well, what do you think they said? Really? Teachers help children? Okay. And they swarmed out. And the ones that we still needed spaces for, she reached out to Cedarville University, to their education department, and said, hey, is there anybody here who wants to be a teacher? Oh, yeah, it turns out all of them. So it turns out not only do we have enough tutors right now, we have a waiting list. But pandemic faded, all that federal money, you know, that flooded the system. Very nice, very handy, but also now gone. So we turned to our partners at the Greene County Library Foundation. And just since I'm here and I can call them out, allow me to introduce you to the treasurer of the Greene County Public Library Foundation, Mr. Jonathan Hebring. Right, when Beth and I do stuff, we go deep Rotary. Well, the Greene County Community Foundation is part of the Greene County, it's part of Green Giving, right? So Greene County Foundation, run by former Xenia Rotary president and now Greene County Public Library Board of Trustees Vice President Jeff Brock. When we do things, we really go deep Rotary. We reached out to them and said, we're not going to have the money to do this. But we can't feed their hungry minds to the libraries if they're so behind in their learning that they're not getting what they need, help. So the foundation rolled up its sleeves and said, okay, what are we going to do? And so we've been out doing what we do. Some of you and I have been friends long enough that you will remember in 2011 when I was asking you for money for this thing called the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And this club stood up and said, yeah, we'll do that. You may not remember the $3,500 check that you gave me, but I never forgot it. Right? Because that was part of the first $100,000 that started this firestorm of literacy that we're causing across Ohio. So we went out, we reached out to different people. I wasn't going to talk about this too much because we're technically having a quiet campaign. But a family out of Fairborn has already committed to $300,000 in endowed funds to this, right? This is an expensive program. $300,000 will last a while, but not that long. And since it's endowed, it's going to be generating income, et cetera. But we're doing what we do. We're talking to our community and saying, you're telling us you're scared that your kids are falling behind. We can prove that your kids are willing to work because 6,900 of them came through the door. This wasn't in school, except at Cedarville, which we really appreciated because the Cedarville schools let us do it on campus. They came to the library. Their parents brought them. Their caregivers brought them. They walked. They found a way to get there. They want to succeed. We know you're scared. We're scared too. They're scared. They're getting the help they need. We're going to need help in raising the money to make that happen. And we're talking to everybody. I ain't going to lie to you. I had Fran DeWine. The whole reason this came up was I had Fran DeWine in the library. And in the good spirit of every librarian, I buttonholed her and said, hey, we can do this. Right? So what we're doing here is the same thing we did with Dolly, which is we're seeing a need that falls outside of the typical work of a library. And we're saying, but the library can't do its real work if we're not making that happen. Now, we saw another thing come up. And again, Beavercreek to the rescue. Our first and most amazing partner in this whole effort I'm about to describe was Feed the Creek. Back to the pandemic. If you had asked me in 2019, was there a lot of hidden hunger in Greene County? I'd have to say, well, I don't know. I mean, if it's hidden, it's hidden. It's not coming to my attention. And that school's closed. I live in Xenia now. I live next to Shawnee Elementary. Shawnee Elementary has an 80% subsidized lunch rate. 80%. The school's closed. Well, when you've got that kind of thing going on, by the way, just for those of you who are wondering, the subsidized lunch rate in Beavercreek average is running about 20%. Those kids weren't going to get fed because there's no school to feed them. So again, Deputy Director Cusack to the rescue. We started working with our communities and we said, yeah, we'll feed them. You get the food, we'll feed them. Because we didn't close. We wore masks, we covered ourselves in plastic, we did everything else, but we didn't close. Right? So then we're feeding hungry kids. We saw hungry kids, all hungry kids, all hungry kids. It's all very good. Federal government at that time waived all the eligibility requirements for lunches. So we just fed them. Then we saw how hungry the community was, and it wasn't hidden to us. And then one day, Congress in its wisdom said, and it literally was on Friday before Monday, because they were set to redo that bill and they just didn't. So on Monday, we were going to have people coming to the library, kids who had been being fed, and we're going to have to tell them, We're sorry, Congress doesn't think you're hydrating. Well, this is Greene County, Ohio, and I don't mean to get all preachy about it, but I come, like most of you, from a faith tradition that has real opinions about faith. And I hit the roof. I mean, I really hit the roof. And we were in a meeting, and Beth said to me, "Are you serious? Are we going to try and keep feeding them?" And I said, "We have to do something." And she said, basically, "Hold my beer."
I don't drink. Fine.
She said to me, give me 48 hours before you do something stupid and I'll have some. She and I mean, let me brag on her. She and I have been business partners for 18 years. Technically, I'm her boss, but the idea that you would be Beth Cusack's boss is so hilarious that can I get a witness? She's been my business partner for 18 years. And she said, yeah, pretty much. Before you do something stupid, give me 48 hours. 48 hours later, Feed the Creek said, yes, we will make the food for you. And we started linking it to figure out how we were going to feed all these people that the federal government wouldn't. Why? What the heck does this have to do with Greene County Public Library? I'll tell you why. How many of y'all parents? Many of you, right? Not all of us, right? But many of you. Let me tell you something straight. You all know this. Kids who don't eat don't read. Simple as that. You want the Greene County Public Library to help your kid to the next step of success? That kid better come fed. So we got working, and we got working, and we got working. 2023, 2024, that same 2-year cluster, we had these little bags. And now we're even changing those bags. We're dialing back the bags and moving up the fresh fruit. Beavercreek actually is the pilot for that. Any guess on how many bags that we give out to kids? Mostly kids, but honestly, sometimes seniors, just be honest. Any idea how many bags we give out in 2023, 2024? The number still shocks me every time I see it. Before I tell you that number, let me tell you why it turns out that we're good at this. We don't make a big deal out of it. You're not a family standing in line for a drug in a parking lot. You just walk into the library and you grab your book bag, you grab your craft bag, you pick up the bag that's on the food cart, you go. We're open the hours that families are. Brian will tell you what the unemployment rate is in Greene County, and it's below 4%. Even when poor families are working. Sometimes 3 or 4 jobs. But can't go to delivery at Tuesday at 10 o'clock at a church. The church is doing a good thing, but people can't come. So the food's always there when the library's there. 10 days. Easy hours. So here's the number. 185,016. Do we have money to carry that on the budget? No, we really don't. That's just not part of the normal mission of a public library. But if we're not feeding hungry bodies, we ain't feeding bodies. So we're working together to find out solutions. When we started our talks with the schools, people have been welcoming and open. We're all putting our heads together. When we're trying to start our talks with, like I said, with the state government, hey, Mrs. DeWine, right? You don't know how many kids the Wines have, right? Their grandkids are a whole football team, right? Right. There's a lot of kids there. They understand, but that hidden hunger isn't hidden anymore. I won't lie to you. I don't have the budget to carry this with the Greene County Public Library. So again, we went to the Library Foundation, the same people who first raised that $100,000 for Dolly Parton, and said, yeah. And they're raising money. We're working together. We're talking with philanthropists in our community. We've been doing it kind of quietly. I was told that you're supposed to do a quiet campaign where you ask for a lot of money. And like I said, some folks have had one family get $300,000. But Dawn was kind enough to say, "Hey, what the heck are you doing here? Would you come talk to us about it at Rotary?" Sometimes, in order to get the job done, like I say, we have to listen to all the other things that have to happen. Somebody once said to me, "What happens after kids who don't read, kids who don't read, I'm sorry, kids who read succeed, kids who don't," which was Dolly. And my answer was, and this was before I knew about Hidden Hunger, my answer was kids who don't eat, don't read. And then somebody said, "Well, what else do you got to do?" And I said, "Kids who don't have shoes don't walk to libraries." It is that simple. And it's that stark. What makes me proud is that in a community like Green County, we take care of our own. We lock arms, we work with our service clubs, we work with our community members, and we figure out a way to do it ourselves. I'm not here technically with my hand out today, because I just want to come tell you about what we're doing. If you want to know more, of course, you can talk with Jonathan, who's our treasurer. Just, I mean, I think I'm Facebook friends with 3/4 of you. Just, shoot me a note. But that's the kind of work that we're talking about today. The cool thing is, though, the success that you see coming from it. Let me tell you a story from your day. Like a lot of parents, we figured that the food that the kids would want would be like, goldfish and, garbage. And we had a lot of processed food and stuff. It's easy to store, etc. But we were challenged by a community member who said, couldn't you do something more with fresh fruit? And Beth and I went out and we talked to the food pantries. And we said, nobody's going to take fresh food, right? And they all said, "You know what? Here's the crazy thing. You'd think no. But as it turns out, dot, dot, dot." So they challenged us, give it a try. Next thing I know, bananas and oranges are flying off the shelves at Beavercreek Rotary. I mean, flying. They're more than a third of all the food we give out now. And we're starting to take back the processed stuff and put out the bananas. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a public librarian, the idea of banana peels everywhere is completely terrifying. And you know what? They don't. Even in the libraries where we see the toughest kids, right? The real hard cases. Because we do see tough kids. We don't have a lot like Dayton does, but we have tough kids. There's no banana peels, there's no orange peels. They're respectful, they're taking the food, they're eating it, and we're learning our lesson again. We thought they wouldn't do it. Turns out we should have just asked. Well, we asked and we listened, and now we're changing, getting better. Because when we ask you and we listen to what you want, we serve, which is what we do as servants. Now, that's all kind of downer stuff. Let me tell you a couple of fun things. Back on the library hat, away from the foundation, I would hope that you'll consider marking your calendar for May 9th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. On May 9th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, we will rededicate the Xenia Community Line. And I want to call out a Beavercreek Rotarian named Ron Folkerth, who's on the board of trustees of the Green County Public Library, who has been my real estate advisor as we have tackled the single largest real estate project in the history of the Green County Public Library. We're going to have this building on time. It'll be all paid for, and we are really excited. I like a round of applause, please, for Ron. Thanks. With that work, we will have finished. We started in 2007. We will have finished renovating all of the Green County Public Libraries. We have saved that money as best we could, and we have done it one by one. We haven't asked for new buildings. We've taken care of what we had, and we've made them better. We're so proud of what we're able to do for this community, and we're so proud to serve a community that has so invested in us, and above all, invested in itself to bring success. Now, Beth isn't going to believe I'm about to say this, but I'm darn near talked out. So before I hand the mic back over, and again, thank you for letting me tell you about these tough things today. And you'll be hearing more about this. We're going to be launching a campaign called Growing Up Green. that is going to be looking to raise money from the community for the tutoring, for the food. We're already raising money for Dolly, and that's going tremendously. So we'll be talking to you about that, but we're not hitting y'all up for money today. But do you have questions that I can answer for you? Oh, there we go. Yes.
The cost associated with tutoring.
Okay, good question. Now, this is where I'm going to cheat and start walking toward the keys. Actually, those these numbers off there. Did you catch that? 110,000 a year.
We actually pay our tutors. So they're not volunteers. That is something I'm actually quite proud of, is the quality of tutoring that we have. Libraries are about access, right? Access to information, access to books, access to technology. We are leveling the playing field of access to quality tutoring. Because parents who have the money, they send their kids to Kumon, they send their kids to Sylvan. Access, not even just to the quality tutoring, but the time. The schools do have tutoring. And I want to do a shout out to Paul, because early on when I didn't know what I was doing writing grants, you and your team helped write a letter of support. And because of you, you were one of the instrumental ones that helped us get that grant. So thank you. The first one, we had 2 grants for that. So I do background checks, of course, on everybody. So there's costs associated with that. But the main thing is the cost per hour for tutoring. Most locations average about 12 to 15 hours a week in tutoring. I can say that this week, specifically in Beavercreek, I had the staff request to add another tutoring on Wednesdays, because right now they have 3. They're asking for 4 because they're getting up to 20 students a time. Yeah, good question.
Carl, what percentage of your budget comes from the state library fund?
Thank you. In rough numbers, it's about 40%.
40%?
Yeah, we're about 60-40.
Okay.
Well, Fred.
I want to shout out, one of the things that the Beavercreek Library does. I work at the senior center. I volunteer on Tuesday afternoons, and they bring in two people from the library. It's called Tech Tips. Seniors can come in and with their phones, and this is important because it's helping seniors stay connected in today's world. If you're not connected through technology, you're really out of it. You're really behind. So it's an important service.
Yeah, and I want to comment on that. So the staff actually in Beavercreek this week, sorry, I keep stealing your. But the staff in Beavercreek said they are being inundated with help from seniors on the program app. There must have been an update.
Yes.
And there has, but that's where we evolve as a library. I mean, you never know, Dave, that's what's so great about our profession. We never know what questions we're going to get. And we adapt to what the needs are in the community. But for some reason, the program app was really throwing people for a loop.
And I want to amplify something that Fran said. You heard her talking about senior connection. A library is a life cycle service. We serve people every day of their lives. Keeping seniors connected is a big deal. Let me give the example of my own mom. My own mom lost her vision. We use the library, Ohio Library for the Blind, to serve mom, right? Keeping seniors connected, we go to retirement communities. And not only do we bring folks books, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. It sounds terrible, but it's okay because it's all kept confidential. We take notes on you. Because sometimes seniors can't remember what they like anymore. But we remember what they like, and we bring in the books and they go, oh my Lord, how did you know? Looks like a magic trick. Because our commitment to success is to everybody each day of their lives, right? It goes the whole distance. Some people have wondered why we have all that wonderful online stuff that we have now. Do you know how that got started? Because a family in Greene County, Ohio, for most of my career as a librarian, could reasonably expected to have a mom or a dad serving in Afghanistan. And if I've got a patron in Afghanistan, I'm going to find him. And I'm darn well going to serve him, right? That's how all that got started. But then it turns out that we needed more and more and more. And so just kind of like with all this, when we listen to our community and we ask the question, what do we do? So whether it's our military families, whether it's our seniors, whether it's our kids, whether it's our Rotarians, whether it's our businesses, there's only one question, which is how can we help you on the next step to success today? But there were more questions. Ron.
Yes, I've been on the board for 12 years, and like Beth was saying at the very beginning of the speech and everything, that, what she was telling about Carl, that it's not about evaluation at this point or then. The positive is, with us being on the board, we evaluate Carl and the fiscal officer every year, once a year. And every year we rehire. So every year we give kudos to Carl and we rehire him. And there's a reason for that, because of the success of the library, which he has brought, but also with Beth on board too. So they talk about being a tag team, they are a true tag team. And I really appreciate them as a board member and my other board members do the right thing and hiring what we see of quality in people like Carl and then also like Beth. So my kudos is to you because the library is successful with the people you have on board. And the most important thing is, it's not what we're doing today. It's about, as a library and as a library board, it's about what we're doing tomorrow too, and the more of tomorrow's. We are a reliable library system, and we will continue to be that way with people like Carl, people like Beth, and everybody else in the Green County Public Library staff. So my kudos. It makes my job easier, but my job is tough because we get to rehire Carl.
Well, thank you, Ron. That's very generous. Yes, sir.
Are you being affected by this latest cuts in federal funding?
Okay, thank you very much for asking. There's so many questions right now about that stuff. So the question is, are we being affected by the latest cuts to federal funding? So that's the cuts that the president has ordered for a piece of the Smithsonian that's called the Institute for Museum and Library Services, or the IMLS. The short, quick answer is no. The federal funding, first of all, this is going to sound terrible, but Beth was kind enough to mention that I used to be an assistant attorney general for the state of Ohio. I know all about federal funding, and I also know that it comes with enough string and tape to hang yourself with. So I typically don't look for federal money. The only federal money we've ever had actually came through the Ohio Department of Education, and we spent it all tutoring kids. So we don't receive any money that way, but thank you for asking. We're cool. Other questions? Okay. Yeah, and the other thing I'm going to mention, and I'll just mention it for the sake of my good friend Representative Lampton. There's some talk going around now about cuts to Ohio libraries. That ain't us. We're fine. Okay, really, we're fine. If there were a problem, I would tell you. Brian actually is a very wonderful library supporter, has been all along, and we appreciate his work. We appreciate the support of Levi Dean, who's the new rep now out of Xenia. And we just had the most fabulous meeting with our new senator, with Kyle Taylor. And Chuck was actually at that meeting, and you know, we got tremendous support there. So sometimes information flies around, and just like we talked about in this entire conversation, you just kind of got to ask and listen, and the answer is we're fine, and thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
I was at the library for the Imagination Library, Dolly Parton thing with a friend of mine. They had the 20 million given out.
Yep.
And I saw what they were doing there. So I didn't realize you guys did all of this stuff. So that's why I invited them here. And I thank you very much. Thank you for both of what you do, really. Okay, we have a book to dedicate. Isn't that amazing? It's kind of ridiculous to just honestly. Yeah. This book is full of brains. And that will go in our Carol Graph library. So thank you very much for that. And Carl's already signed it. Next week's meeting, we have Dr. Bob Lutz from Cedarville University. He's developed a new way to higher education, totally online. So it should be interesting. Our graders next week will not be Ed and Fran, they'll be Bob. So there will be a board meeting after next week's meeting, and is there anything else for the good of the club? All right, you all please stand. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, so liberty and justice. Thank you very much. If you want some clothing, it's back here. Have a great evening. Oh, that's good.
I've been learning those sleeps. I want business to be blended. Run for most of the time. It's one to pay. Yes. Enjoy it. But what are we going to get? Doing some sickness. Yep. So much good. Rich with the church. Okay. It's like sort of all right. Yeah. Out of the past. There's 3 parts you make that.